Finn Ellis stared at the empty sky where the moon should have been and wondered if he'd finally lost his mind. He blinked hard, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. Still gone. The moon, Earth's faithful companion for 4.5 billion years, had vanished without a trace. "You seeing this?" he asked in his phone, not waiting for his colleague Rana to respond. "It's just gone. Half the planet is calling their local observatories right now, Finn. The other half is posting apocalypse memes." Rana's voice was strained. "The director wants everyone at Parker immediately." Finn snorted. "What exactly does she think we can do? File a missing moon report? Just get here." The roads were chaos, people staring skyward instead of watching traffic, religious zealots proclaiming end times on street corners, impromptu gatherings in parks and parking lots. The tides had already gone haywire, though the real damage wouldn't hit until later. Finn kept the radio off. He didn't need the panic of talking heads theorizing about gravitational disruptions and mass extinction events. As one of the youngest senior astronomers at Parker Observatory, he'd spent years tracking near-Earth objects, and nothing, absolutely nothing, suggested the moon could simply disappear. The security gate at Parker was overwhelmed when he arrived. Finn flashed his ID to a hairy guard and squeezed through. The main facility buzzed like a disturbed hive, screens displaying real-time data from observatories worldwide, satellite feeds, and social media chaos. Director Kwan spotted him and waved him over. "Ellis, finally. You're on the analysis team with Rana. We need to figure out what happened and how." "With all due respect, Director, how the hell do you analyze something that breaks every known law of physics?" Finn interrupted, earning a sharp look. "The moon is almost 1/4 the diameter of Earth. Even if it somehow exploded, we'd see debris. If it was hit by something, we'd have detected the approach. This isn't just unlikely, it's impossible." And yet, Kwan gestured to the live feed, showing the empty spot where the moon should be. "Here we are." Finn joined Rana and her team, who were processing data from every astronomical instrument capable of pointing at lunar orbit. The first oddity they found came from a rarely used gravitational wave detector. "That's bizarre," Rana murmured, pointing to a wavelength pattern. "It's similar to what we'd expect from merging black holes, but the signature is all wrong. More like a controlled gravitational manipulation." "Which we can't do," Finn said flatly. "Which we can't do," she agreed. For hours later, as dawn broke over a world discovering its moon was missing, they had their first visual. A Japanese satellite designed to monitor solar radiation had captured something at the edge of its field of view. A massive object, easily 3 times the size of the moon, with what appeared to be the moon itself nestled inside a translucent bubble extending from the larger structure. "They took it," Finn whispered, fatigue momentarily forgotten. "Someone actually stole our moon." Within the hour, military officials arrived. Within 3, the president was addressing the world, attempting to calm widespread panic while revealing almost nothing. By then, more images had emerged, showing the object, clearly a vessel of some kind, moving slowly toward Mars. Finn found himself in a secure conference room with 20 other scientists, 3 generals, and representatives from nearly every space agency on Earth. A silver-haired woman in a crisp uniform introduced herself as Admiral Chun. "We've established contact," she announced without preamble. They call themselves the Collectors and claim to be a nomadic species who gather significant celestial artifact from across the galaxy. "They're space hoarders?" someone asked incredulously. "More like cosmic museum curators," another voice offered. "They've taken our goddamn moon." A NASA administrator slammed his hand on the table. "The tidal disruptions alone will cause catastrophic environmental damage within weeks." Finn leaned forward. "Have they said why? Why our moon specifically?" Admiral Chun looked uncomfortable. "They're particularly interested in what they call paired celestial bodies with emergent intelligence. According to their message, our moon is unusually large relative to Earth, and this pairing has produced us. They stole the moon because humans exist." Rana asked. Their exact message was that Earth Luna represents an exemplary case of intelligence emergence through gravitational partnership. Chun sighed. They've added us to their collection, and they just expect us to be okay with that. Finn couldn't contain his disbelief. They've offered to leave a gravitational stabilizer in lunar orbit to prevent the worst environmental effects, Chun continued. As a courtesy, the room erupted in angry shouts and arguments. Finn sat back, mind racing. Something didn't add up. If these collectors were advanced enough to pluck the moon from orbit without destroying Earth in the process, they had to know humans would object. They could have taken it without announcing themselves, without offering stabilizers. Why make contact at all? 3 days later, Finn found himself aboard a hastily retooled SpaceX vessel approaching Martian orbit, where the alien craft hovered, moon still encased in its transparent bubble. The mission was equal parts diplomatic and intelligence gathering, officially to negotiate with the collectors, unofficially to learn anything they could about their technology and possible vulnerabilities. The team was small. Admiral Chun, a xenolinguist named Devi, 2 Special Forces officers whose real roles weren't specified, Rana, and Finn himself. As the only astronomer who'd theorized the collectors might be testing rather than simply collecting, he'd been included against his protests. I'm not a diplomat, he'd argued. I look at stars, not negotiate with the people stealing them. You're the only one who suggested they might have an ulterior motive, Chen had replied. And right now, understanding their motivation is our best chance. Their craft docked with surprising ease against the enormous collector vessel. As airlocks cycled and gravity subtly shifted, Finn caught his first glimpse of the beings who had casually upended human civilization. They weren't what he expected. No tentacles, no insectoid features, no glowing energy beings. They appeared almost humanoid, with smooth, reflective skin in varying shades of blue and green, for arms, and eyes that wrapped partially around their elongated heads. They wore what seemed to be elaborate mechanical exoskeletons, though whether for support or enhancement wasn't clear. "Welcome," said the tallest one, its voice emerging from a device at its throat. "I am Curator Nihilith. We are pleased to receive Earth's representatives." Finn stared at their moon, visible through a massive viewport behind the aliens. It hung suspended, familiar, and yet utterly wrong in this context, like finding your childhood home placed in a stranger's living room. "We want our moon back," he said bluntly, ignoring Admiral Chen's warning glance. "Now!" Curator Nihilith tilted their head at a precise 37-degree angle, an expression Finn would later learn indicated amused condescension. "Your directness is refreshing," the aliens said. Most species begin with elaborate diplomatic rituals lasting several orbital cycles. Most species don't have their moons ripped away without warning, Rana countered, stepping forward. Our planet's ecosystems are already destabilizing. The gravitational compensators we provided should prevent catastrophic damage, Nihilith responded, leading them deeper into the vessel. They're quite advanced. We once collected the larger of a binary planet system, and the compensators maintained stability for over 300 years. Until what? Finn asked. Nihilith paused. Until the remaining civilization developed sufficiently to negotiate its return. They entered an enormous chamber that left even Admiral Chen speechless. It was a gallery of celestial bodies, dozens of moons, asteroids, and smaller planets, each suspended in bubbles similar to the one holding Earth's moon. Some appear to be gas giants compressed somehow to manageable size. Others were clearly artificial constructs that might once have been space stations or megastructures. Our collection spans 18 galaxies and nearly 1 billion years, Nihilith explained with unmistakable pride. Each specimen represents a unique example of planetary evolution or technological achievement. "These aren't specimens," Finn said, trying to keep his voice level as anger built inside him. "They're essential parts of living systems. You've ripped functioning organs from dozens of worlds." An interesting perspective. A second collector approached, smaller than Nihilith with more elaborate attachments to its exoskeleton. "I am Research Director Evith. Perhaps you would prefer to view our collection as a preservation effort?" Many of these celestial bodies were taken from systems facing imminent destruction. "An Earth's moon?" Chen asked. What destruction were you saving it from? Edith and Nilith exchanged what might have been a glance. Earth-Luna is a special case. Your particular pairing, a planet and satellite of such relative size proximity, is exceedingly rare. The gravitational dance that resulted in your species' evolution represents a cosmic achievement worth preserving. By removing half the system that created it, Finn couldn't help but laugh. That's like preserving a painting by cutting it in half. The separation is temporary, Nilith assured them, merely long enough to conduct our studies. As the tour continued, Finn whispered to Rana, "They're lying. Or at least not telling the whole truth." "How can you tell?" she whispered back. "They keep emphasizing how special our moon is, but look around." He gestured subtly to the collection. "Half these specimens are more unique than Luna. No offense to our moon, but it's basically a big rock. Something else is going on." The diplomatic discussions dragged on for hours. The collectors remained polite but unmoved by arguments about environmental impact, cultural significance, or even threats of theoretical retaliation. Throughout it all, Finn observed their behavior, particularly how the aliens interacted with each other. The subtle hierarchy, the way junior collectors deferred to Nilith and Edith. During a break, Finn approached a younger-looking collector who'd been documenting the proceedings. "Your collection is impressive," he said casually. "I'm curious, though. How do you decide what to collect? Surely there are criteria beyond interesting." The young collector, Triseth, according to its designation, seemed flattered by the attention. The Council of Curators establishes collection priorities based on rarity, scientific value, and of course the Ancestral Protocol. Ancestral Protocol? Finn asked innocently. Triseth's posture changed immediately. "I've said too much. Please excuse me." Later, as the human delegation regrouped in their ship to discuss strategy, Finn shared his theory. "They're not museum curators," he said. "They're following some kind of religious or cultural mandate. This Ancestral Protocol, the Junior One mentioned, I think they're recreating something. Something important to their civilization." "Like what?" one of the Special Forces officers asked. "I don't know yet," Finn admitted. "But I noticed something while cataloging their collection. Many of these objects form pairs or systems, binary asteroids, twin moons, dual planets. They're collecting components that belong together." Admiral Chun frowned. "To what end? If I had to guess?" Finn shrugged. "They lost something. Maybe their home system was destroyed or altered. They're gathering the pieces to rebuild it, or at least a facsimile." Devi, who had been analyzing the collector's language, nodded slowly. "That fits with linguistic patterns I've observed. Their word for collection shares roots with terms for restoration and memory. So they're cosmic nostalgics," Rana said. "That doesn't help us get the moon back." "Actually," Finn said, a plan forming it might. The next day, Finn requested a private audience with Nilith and Edith, claiming to have a proposal from Earth. To his surprise, they agreed. "Your species adapts quickly," Nilith observed as they settled into a chamber lined with what appeared to be living crystal. "Most require more time to accept the honor of contribution." "That's actually what I wanted to discuss," Finn said, carefully arranging his expression. "We've been thinking about this all wrong. You're not just taking our moon, you're preserving a cosmic relationship." Edith's head tilted with interest. "Precisely. But you've only taken half the relationship," Finn continued. "The moon influences Earth as much as Earth influences the moon. By separating them, you're studying a severed connection." The two collectors exchanged rapid communications in their native language before Nilith responded. "This perspective has merit, but adding an entire life-bearing planet to our collection presents logistical challenges." "I'm not suggesting you take Earth," Finn said quickly. "I'm suggesting you return the moon and allow us to send regular, comprehensive data about the ongoing Earth-Luna relationship. Think of it as a living exhibit rather than a static display." "Unprecedented," Edith murmured, but Finn could sense interest. "The Ancestral Protocol values relationships between celestial bodies, doesn't it?" Finn pressed, watching them stiffen at the term. "What better way to honor that than to preserve a functioning relationship, rather than just its components. More rapid communication between the aliens followed. Finally, Nihilith spoke. Your insight is surprisingly aligned with certain interpretations of the protocol. We will consult the Council of Curators. 3 tense hours later, the decision came. The moon would be returned, with conditions. Earth would host a permanent collector-observer team and provide detailed scientific data on Earth-Luna interactions. In return, the collectors would share limited gravitational technology and place Earth's system under their protection, a status that apparently deterred other cosmic collectors with less curatorial and more exploitative interests. As their ship escorted Luna back to its rightful place in Earth orbit, Finn watched the pale glow grow larger through the viewport. "You know they'll be back," Rana said quietly. "If not for the moon, then for something else." "Probably," Finn agreed. "But next time we'll be more prepared. And maybe we'll have learned something from their obsession with preservation." "What's that?" Finn smiled. "That some relationships are worth fighting for, even when they're with a chunk of rock that's been circling us for billions of years. Sometimes the most important things are the ones we take for granted until they're gone." The moon settled back into orbit with a precision that human technology couldn't have matched. The stabilizers the collectors had initially offered were removed, and Earth's tides gradually returned to normal. News outlets celebrated humanity's diplomatic victory, though the full details of the arrangement remained classified. 6 months later, Finn stood on a beach watching moonlight ripple across the water. Beside him, a disguised collector-observer took careful readings with incomprehensible instruments. "Your species has an unusual attachment to this satellite," the observer, who called himself Lith, remarked. "It appears in your art, your religions, your scientific pursuits." "It's been a constant companion," Finn replied. "Humans like constants in an inconstant universe. Perhaps that is what the ancestors sought as well," Lith said softly, almost to himself. Finn didn't press for details. He'd learned that the collector's obsession with cosmic relationships stemmed from the destruction of their original star system, a catastrophic event that had sent their ancestors wandering the galaxy, preserving echoes of what they'd lost. Their collecting wasn't just scientific or even religious. It was an act of remembrance. The moon continued its eternal path across the sky, tugging at Earth's oceans just as it had for billions of years. Humanity had narrowly avoided disaster, but Finn knew the incident had permanently changed humanity's perspective. They were no longer alone in thinking themselves special, no longer the only ones watching the skies with purpose. Somewhere out there, the collectors continued their work, gathering fragments of cosmic history. And now, bound by the terms of their agreement, they would also protect the fragile blue planet that had fought so fiercely to keep its dance partner. "Big mistake, taking our moon," Finn murmured to the night sky. "But maybe not the last one either of us will make." The moonlight seemed to wink in response.